Hi everyone, I am here officially in Denver with my good childhood friend Seth. He has been my Uber for the past 24 hours and he will be my unofficial official tour guide for my time in Denver. So Seth, I'm here in Denver. I've never been out here before. It looks pretty nice, it's clean. What do you have to say to anybody looking to come to Denver?
Come in the summer. Denver in the winter can be pretty cold. We had days where like -16, it was snowing. But Denver is one of the most sunny places in the United States. We have an average of 300 days of full sun here, which you can see today. We actually have more sunny days here than what Florida has. The weather is pretty mild. It's February, or actually it's March, and it's supposed to be in the high 60s this weekend, 70s beginning of next week. You know, if you're gonna come here, you can't go wrong with anywhere that you decide to stay. It's absolutely amazing. If you stay in Denver as opposed to staying outside of Denver, I mean, you're 30 minutes from the Rocky Mountains, you're 30 minutes from the airport. LoDo is your best bet to stay in. It's absolutely one of the best districts here in Denver. It's incredibly safe. It's very family oriented. There's tons of restaurants. I think we have like 500 restaurants within a 10-minute walk.
Now, how easy is it to navigate Denver if somebody just, you know, came by themselves, not with a family, not with a spouse, just by themselves? How easy is it to navigate the airport and the city itself?
I mean, it's simple, you know, everybody's got an iPhone and you got, you know, Apple Maps, but I mean, the scene here is just huge. There's not a lot of Uber. Denver is one of the healthiest cities in the United States, and so they try to make it very health conscious. So there's tons of bird scooters, bikes, Lime scooters, and everything's within a walking distance from where you're at. I mean, you know, if you're staying here by yourself, at least in LoDo, low-high, Rhino districts, you're gonna be safe walking by yourself. But then on top of that, to navigate where you need to go, you know, from our apartment complex, it's a 5-minute walk to Whole Foods, 5-minute walk to CVS, a 2-minute walk to any restaurants you need. You're 10 minutes from the nearest hospital. Denver employs their own security force. So anywhere you walk, you're always gonna see security officers. There's tons of police officers here. It's definitely a feel-good city, easy to navigate.
So, like I said, I've only been here for 24 hours, but the city itself just looks really clean. You know, you go to a lot of these other cities such as, you know, Richmond, Virginia, or even in downtown Manhattan, and you just see trash everywhere. But here, I haven't seen one wrapper on the ground. What's the reason for that?
So, like I said, Denver is Denver's an up-and-coming city. There's currently like 4 million residents here. It is one of the youngest and, like I said, healthiest cities. Denver is very progressive. So you'll notice when you come here, things are a little bit more expensive because there's a higher tax. And that tax goes towards beautification of the city. So they pay artists to put all these awesome murals, sculptures, all kinds of crazy things up. You know, there's tons of parks. I think there's like 25 parks within like a 10-mile radius here in Denver. And there's another initiative called Clean Denver. And so kind of what happens is this, they get sponsored and everything here in Denver stays incredibly clean. You'll notice when you come in from Denver from Aurora on 70, or you come in from like Colorado Springs from the south, as soon as you hit Denver city limits, everything is just like immaculate clean. Now, you'll see a difference in that in Cap Hill, where there's probably 4 square blocks of homeless encampment. But they do all they can to try to keep that as clean as possible and looking as good as what they can get it to.
So in other words, you're saying the city is trying to manage that the best they can, unlike some other cities such as, San Diego, who, Congress, their members just aren't seeming to do much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the taxes are higher here. Things are definitely a little bit more expensive. So when you come out here, you can plan on your dinner being a little more expensive. Decent tax being added to it for the beautification of the city and cleanup initiatives. But, I mean, everything here in Denver, you got a lot of, I guess they call them crunchy people. And so everybody here is trying to do their part of being eco-friendly or sustainable, and trying to just keep everything looking as fresh as what they can, because the big draw to Denver is you're living in a city of 4 million people. You're living in an incredibly wealthy city, but the big thing here for people is nature. I mean, what city can you get on the 30th floor of your apartment complex and see one of the biggest mountain ranges in the United States? So nature is big here.
Now, one thing I know a lot of people just want to jump to the conclusion and ask is about the cannabis industry here. Is it super easy to buy, sell, trade here? And what are how strict are the stipulations here? Anybody wanting to come here strictly to experiment?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be 21. You've got to have a valid ID. I think a lot of people think that you can just come out and get high sitting on the sidewalk, and that's not the case. That's still illegal. You can't do that. There's no coffee shops that you can go sit in and smoke like Amsterdam. You can't smoke in the dispensaries. But there's a bunch of different dispensaries around. Denver's doing as much as they can, Colorado in general, to fix kind of the racial inequality and just the back history with cannabis and the reform. But super simple. You walk into a dispensary, there's a security guard at the front. You got to show your ID. And Native Roots is like the go-to here. You walk in and it's on about the same level as an Apple store. You pick what you want, you buy it, and you leave. You either have to use, I believe, a credit card or cash. I don't know that you can pay with a debit card. If you do, you have to buy something else because banks still aren't accepting cannabis because of its Schedule 1 within the government. But no, I mean, it's something here that's not taboo because it's been legal for so long. You think back home in Virginia, and even in some of the southern states, you mentioned marijuana, and it's looked down upon very heavily. But here it's just it is what it is, and I think they're proving day in and day out that it's not a gateway drug. It's not anything that's incredibly bad. You have these guys who are incredibly successful, business CEOs and guys running, Fortune 500 companies that, they get off in the evening and they like to have a blunt with their dinner instead of a glass of wine. So it is what it is here. And if that's what you're here to experience, you're not going to be missing out because there's as many dispensaries as there is restaurants.
So one of my final questions, if somebody's coming here for just a weekend trip, or maybe even they have a long layover here, what are some just out-of-pocket random things that they cannot miss when they come here to specifically Denver in the city?
So if you have a layover, I don't know if you're going to have enough time to really get in and explore. It depends on how long it is. If you do have a layover, my recommendation would be to just book a room at the Westin, which is attached to Denver Airport. So Denver Airport has their own hotel, resort type thing, super nice. But if you're here, for the weekend or a week or however long you're here, one thing you definitely have to try the Denver Biscuit Company. It's definitely eclectic. If you're a beer guy or a cider guy, there's there's a brewery for every coffee shop. If you like coffee, there's a coffee shop for every brewery. You can find one on every street corner. So the beer scene and the coffee scene are big here. It's definitely a food-inspired city. So there are tons of Michelin star chefs, like chef-inspired restaurants. Like I said, the Rockies are 30 minutes away. If you've never been to Pikes Peak, it's like 14,500 foot up. It's one of the highest peaks you can get to in the United States. It's absolutely amazing. There's tons of hot springs, so if you want to come soak in a hot spring, you know, they're cheap, 30 minutes to an hour and a half away. I mean, there's tons of stuff to do. Denver has its own water park, its own amusement park, its own aquarium. There's kayaking, there's canoeing, there's whitewater rafting. You come here in the spring or the summer, Denver has a kayak to work day, so you can join a bunch of kayakers here on the river.
So when people think of Denver, they automatically think all you can do is snowboard and, you know, get high here. So that's obviously not the case. There's so many other things to do here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously the snowboarding is great, skiing is great. You have Breckenridge, you have Copper Mountain, you have Aspen. You know, you have tons of different ski lodges that you can come here and enjoy. But Denver is such an eclectic city, and I mean, there's a huge scene for rock climbing, for cross-country trekking, for jeeping, for kayaking, you know, running, whatever you want to do.
Great. Well, Seth, thank you. If any of you other people watching, and I don't have many subscribers, so all 2 of you who are watching me religiously right now, thank you. But if you have any questions for Seth, leave them in the comments and we will get back to you if you have any questions about Denver, travel, or the like. So Seth, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Come enjoy.